Hey guys, this is Mapping the Shadowborn again, the GL for the Guild S-War. Today I'm going to do a deck building 101 video. So, 101 means pretty basic, right? So, I'm going to do a 102 video a little bit later that goes into more specific deck building and the type of decks that I liked and then think about. But for the 101 video, I want to stick to basics so it can help out some of the new players about how to build your decks. And I'm going to go through some basic functionality, but also talk strategy a little bit as we talk about, free to play and pay to play and what kind of decks you can build and how do you maximize, right? Okay, so first off, let's just say that you build different decks for different purposes, right? So if I was going to build a deck for a specific event, that would be very different. I'm playing an event now than if I was building a deck for the Gears Dungeon, the Earth Dungeon, campaign, etc., etc. At some point, your cards get good enough that one deck could power through most of these. But in the beginning, you're going to have to make some specialized decks to get through some of these things. So I'm not going to we'll do a separate videos about specific decks for specific events or functions, but let's just talk in general, right? This is a 101 video. Let's talk 101 video, so let's talk in general about deck building. So first thing with deck building is that, a couple of things that are most important. First is your leader card. Leader cards are tremendously important. Why? Because your leader card has a leader skill, and your leader skill, so look at this leader skill, gives you a boost to the rest of your cards that are in that deck of 5. So this is the most important card you're going to pick for your deck, and this is going to basically you're building the rest of your deck around this leader card, right? So a couple types of leader skills. There are an attack boost leader skill, there are damage boost leader skills, and there are recovery boost leader skills. At the 6-star level, most things give a 200% boost to damage, or to health, or to recovery. Recovery means everybody is confused on recovery, right? This is a recovery stat. Recovery basically means that if you match hearts, how much more HP you get back. Now, at the 5-star level, right? 5-star level, things get a little lower. It's a percentage increase as you get higher in the star levels. So at the 5-star level, you're only getting a 180% increase to whatever stat, be it damage, HP, or recovery. Now, there are some cards who are ridiculously awesome, and they give things like 300%. Actually, this is not one of them. 300% boosts. For example, Venus gives a 300% damage boost to God Heroes. Now that is awesome. But there's not a lot of cards in the game at this point, a couple of them, that gives a 300% boost. And those are really rare, and you want to keep onto those. Now, in my opinion, what leader skill should you pick? I personally think, right, and it depends on how you build your deck, but I think if you're starting out and you're building one of your first decks, and for most of your deck building career, I think the best stat to maximize is damage boost. Now, why damage boost, right? If anybody ever played Magic the Gathering, I like to think that you have always the ability to do first strike. And what that means is when you play against any dungeon, you get to hit first. So you get the first move to match as many gems as possible to do your first attack. Now, if you have damage boost and you match enough gems, you automatically clear that level. Now, as you have more challenging attacks like in Slayer, challenging heroes to attack like in Slayer events, sometimes that's not even true, right? You're not going to clear that hero with one attack. Maybe some additional HP is in order. But I think in the beginning, if what you're doing is mostly just working on your campaign, right? Damage boost goes a long way. Okay. The second thing that is important to remember about your deck building is the affinities. So let me pull up an affinity map. There is an affinity map in this game, and we can work off of that to show you what it looks like. So let me go to quest. quest 1. I'm going to burn some stamina. Well, actually, before we get there, the other thing that is very interesting that you have to think through about your deck building is that as you build your deck, you get to take a friend with you on this fight. And you get the benefit of your friend's leader skills. Obviously, sometimes you have to remember what the leader skills are, or you can click on it. Actually, they don't show you what the leader skill is anymore. But you should kind of remember leadership skills. But essentially, you get a double boost, right? So I have a 200% damage leader. Added on top of my 200 damage percent leader, I'm getting a 400% damage boost. So as you build your deck, also think about you can bring a friend along for certain missions, and that's important as well. But anyways, let's go. Let's take. Oh, you know what? Chili was giving me a hard time of not saying her name in the last video. So let's take Chili with me on our fight. All right. So when you get in a fight and you push the pause button, the affinity map pops up, right? So this is the second important thing to remember about deck building. It's that these are the things that affect each other. So green does more damage to blue. Blue does more damage to red. Red does more damage to green. And this is how that works. It's a kind of an X2 factor. And then dark and light attack each other. And are weak against each other. They're strong against each other and they're weak against each other when they take damage. So when you build decks, and this is an all black deck, so that's not going to work there. So when you build decks, you have for example, if I'm clearing campaigns, you get a sense of these are green, these are blue, these are dark, those are red. You get a sense of what kind of color you're up against. So if you have a hard time managing through with a kind of a unicolored deck, you can do a multicolored deck, right? And try to, if you're having a hard time with a multicolored deck, then you can use a monocolored deck to try to get through by maxing out all the affinity bonuses. Like, for example, I have a deck called Green Monster, which I have my Dugan. He gives you 200% damage boon bonus to all Earth heroes. It's a great legend card. And then I put all legend cards around, all green cards around him to take advantage of that green boost. Right? Okay, so once you have your leader card set, right, then it's about putting the other cards in. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this, right? You can think about, if I'm boosting damage, I can put the highest damage card in here that gets a boost. I think that's fair, right? And then also, as you're trying to do first strike, sometimes HP doesn't matter. Sometimes it does. If you can't finish in one hit, you need to balance it with some HP. The other one is what I like to call kind of side skills or abilities. Abilities matter a lot. For example, Lady against us, her ability is that she's going to boost 225% damage and HP for all attacker heroes. That is awesome. Now, if I was building a deck and I have this card, and I don't have this card, it's in the pack this week, Sir Eric, he has a passive ability to create 1 dark gem per turn. So when you think about other abilities, this directly helps us because we probably will end up building a dark attacker deck based on the damage boost that my leader card is giving me, and the passive is giving me 1 dark gem per turn. Now, if I needed to find a card with an ability that helps that, I would also, you got to read all your cards and know what your cards do, but I do have a card called Bella. And Bella's ability is to upgrade 1 dark gem into a power gem and charges extremely fast. That's 2 things that were really important. 1, this ability helps my leader skill because my leader skill boosts dark attackers and I need to kind of basically match dark gems to power them up to fight. So this gives me an additional stronger gem. I get more damage boost from it. The second thing that was important for this is it says charges extremely fast. Now, there have been a lot of times in combat, especially in events, where there's a timer. And if you're not charging extremely fast, then the ability basically never charges. So always be on the lookout for a card that says charges extremely fast, or, as you test things out, understand which cards will charge faster and which cards won't charge at all. And there are some decks that I'll talk about in 102 is basically, I like to call them delayed charger decks or charge damage decks. And there are cards that specifically revolve around there, and we'll build one of those decks later on in a 102 video. So, let's build our deck, right? If you are a free-to-play player and you're just starting out, what you're going to end up having a lot of is the Dragon Warriors. And I think those are my favorite cards. I use them for a long time to clear almost everything, right? These are my Dragon Warriors. The 5-star ones, there's one 5-star one of every color. So you got your light, fire, water, dark, and green. And then there is a dark version of this, 6-star version of this, and I don't have all the 6-star dragons just because I've stolen for dust a lot of time. I don't collect them. But if you're pure free to play and you're just starting out and you're not buying a lot of packs, these are the ones that chain well, right? So why are they good? Let's bring up just a non-evolved version. First off, right, they're easy to get and easy to evolve. Hold on. So let me find evolve. So they just require Long Night, which is easy to get from the store, Dark Essence, basically any kind of essence, which you can get from the dungeon, and also a Steel Sea Rose, which you can create from things you can get from the campaigns. So easy to kind of evolve from a 4-star version. And then finally, if at the fully maxed leveling, they give pretty decent attack and pretty decent HP. So they're quite a kind of balance in the middle. And then they all boost each other, right? So this guy, his leadership skill is 180% boost damage to all warriors. So we're basically building what I like to call a bruiser deck. Basically, you're just relying on damage to bruise your way through and hope to God that you survive any attacks that you get hit with. Pretty standard strategy for beginning players as they play just the campaigns and try to get through that, and then some of the dungeons and etc. etc. So swap. Let's put my, I'll show you what I've done. I have it. I call my bruiser deck Rainbow Warrior because essentially it's all warrior cards. Now I've switched out my green Dragon Warrior with my Gwen, which is my Jedi Warrior, but I can put this back in. So that deck, and I have some of that. I have some of these Awaken, and you can Awaken. I talk about in a different video, but that deck is going to give me. Now this is the base stat, right? Probably 1,047 attack for everything, and I think I've got a lot more HP. So I think the beginning HP of this is probably more around 8,000. But that gets you through a lot of the campaigns and a lot of the levels through the dungeon as well. So this is my bruiser deck, and I think a couple of other different decks that we're going to talk about, but I'm going to talk about in a 102 video. So if you like this video, had any comments, please or questions, please leave me a comment below. And then if you want to see more videos, actually the 102 video I'm going to do, hit a subscribe, and then I'll try to get those videos out as soon as I can. Thanks guys, I'll see you in a different video.